The aggressive email system that built a $600 million meat empire. Now, I want to break down a system today, not a funnel diagram, not a playbook that you can copy blindly. This is how a real brand, in this case ButcherBox, built a massive revenue engine using email and SMS. And yes, it is aggressive, but it's aggressive on purpose. Now, why can you listen to me? I'm Daniel, and head of retention at Hayes Media, and we spent past 5+ years scaling e-commerce brands with email and SMS retention marketing. You can see an example here of an account that we work on that does over $3.61 million of email revenue. It's attributed at 31.47% of their total revenue. Email is bringing in 31.47%. Now, you can hop over to the Hayes Media website where you can actually see more of the brands that we've worked with and currently are working with, why brands choose us, and also some of the solutions that we offer. Specifically on this YouTube channel, I'm talking about email and SMS and retention marketing, which has the objective of increasing your repeat purchase rate and also your customer LTV. And we do that all through our done-for-you email and SMS marketing service with our small team. Now, we have a small team because we work with a small select few of clients that we know we can help. And if you are thinking on wanting to work with us, then please go ahead. Right now, we're booking in free complimentary audits where we come in, we have a look at your retention system, and we highlight key opportunities that you can take. It's completely free. All you need to do is book a time to chat. We'll see if we're a right fit. We'll get access to your account, your Klaviyo account or your ESP software. We will go through it, give it a proper audit, and find where you're leaving money on the table, right? And we will present that to you. It's not a pitch. It's literally just a deck that you can take away, implement it yourself, or if you choose to work with us, you can, and we can implement it for you. Please go ahead, book that call. The link is in the description. So let's start with the capture, right? Where we all begin. So we always start with the pop-up because that's where the journey begins with the email and SMS. That's where it all starts with email and SMS. So here it starts with one decision, one free steak for a year. It's very, very high value question. In this case, they're not just sending paid traffic to a product page and hope it converts. They're trying to capture the relationship first by offering a lot of value. Now, it's important to know if you're watching this, you own email. And when you own email, economics change completely because you stop paying Meta and Google every time you want to talk to someone. You pay once and then you follow up for almost nothing. And that's how you can make high CPA survivable. In this case, this is how a product like ButcherBox can scale and then offer these amazing, really high value offers, right? So most brands, they lead with a discount, 10% off, 15% off. That feels very disposable. However, ButcherBox, they take it one step further. They take the same cost that they would usually offer and they reframe it into something people don't want to lose. So free bacon for life, free protein for a year. It's the same math, but it's a completely different perception. Now, it's not a coupon. It's actually an asset, right? And walking away, when you look at it, it feels expensive. So please, if you can find something that's the same amount and you can offer it, then do it. Right? If you can think free for life, free for a year, if you can somehow frame something that's the same cost of what you usually be offering at the initial stage, but offer it like, make it sound higher value, you can. It's all about perceived value. And to be honest, the ButcherBox does it amazing here. Now, let's start with the onboarding Blitz, right? The 21-day window. We've all had this experience. Your emails your welcome series emails, they all get delivered at once. And suddenly you feel like Daniel Radcliffe in this scene where to get these letters from Harry Potter. What a movie. Classic. So here's the strategy. So an intensive sequence of email and SMS during the peak interest phase. Essentially, they don't just have it all as polished promos. They rotate between high production offer emails and simple plain text messages. Short, human, direct. That contrast keeps people engaged and it prevents the whole thing from feeling like a machine. So you see here, you have the free steaks for a year, last chance, 100% go for it. Last chance for this deal, choose rebuying users and get them for free in every box so you never pay for steaks in 2026. Hurry, this deal is almost gone. Hey, we just released a new limited time offer. It's one of those lock it in now and thank you safe later situations. But this weekend early when you join ButcherBox, you can get free protein for a year plus $100 of your membership, and that's $1,000 in value. Choose between and that means it's a flash sale. So they've added a lot of urgency here. The pros, so it forces, right? It's like a system. So what are the pros and cons? This system works, but it's not free. The upside is obvious. right? So it's fast payback on paid traffic. The trade-off is fatigue. So in the pro, it forces a yes or no decision while the brand is on top of mind, recoups expensive meta acquisition costs via free owned channels. The cons, you have a high risk of unsubscribes, and it requires constant creative refreshes to avoid offer fatigue, because right now my interest is super peaked, but over time this offer can become very, very repetitive, right? And we don't want that. So let's move on to a bit to the copy and design. I don't want to go too much on this. I want to focus more on the system, which, as you said, like the system here is basically taking something that they would originally offer and then making it sound like maybe they offer like $1,000 off their yearly subscription or something like that. And then they're offering something of equal value, or at least perceived equal value. It doesn't have to be $1,000 off, but if it's something that's perceived as that amount, then you can do it. And a lot of subscription products, you can think about how you can maybe take something that you would usually give in your boxes and offer it for free over a lifetime or a yearly subscription or something like that. But let's talk about the copy and design. So there's no waste layouts, right? It's offer-centric layouts. So no waste, no waste. When the offer is strong, they don't bury it. So there's no long introductions, no filler sections. The email exists to do one job, and they show the offer, make the choice super obvious, and then everything else is removed. So they're really relying here on the strong offer to do the converting. The visual appetite appeal. So they don't just show a raw product, right? Even though actually, to be honest, some could argue raw steaks do look delicious. I mean, sorry, I'm a steak eater. But anyway, they don't just show the raw product, they show the outcome. So cooked steak, or in this case, cooked chicken, cooked potatoes, and what their boxes look like, finished meals, essentially. That closes the gap between a digital message and a real experience. Again, what I've talked about in previous videos, which can work well here, is create the moment. So one thing that a ButcherBox could improve on here is, yes, they're having a delicious looking meal here, but what is the moment that this meal creates? Is it a family eating together after a hard day of work and school, right? And they have that moment, that intimate moment for the first time of the day where they can really just sit down and have a proper chat. Is it that moment? Or is it you and your friends hanging out on a Friday night after you've been working all week, all eating together, that real wholesome? No, there's nothing better than inviting your friends round. Either you're cooking for them or you're getting cooked for, and you just all have this delicious food together, right? Or, I mean, usually because this is a box, you don't want to show them in restaurants. So probably be like at home eating, in the park eating, something that really like focuses on the social, the community aspect of eating. Even if it's like solo, you don't want to alienate your solo people. You could have someone who's really just like taking the time to be with themselves, have a really nice meal, right? Just by themselves. Like, who doesn't like love a bit of me time? So again, showing the product in different lifestyle shots and creating that experience moment with the product is super important. So the human reset, I've told about plain text, and we showed you earlier. Basically, they mix a lot of plain text in with their designs, which is great. And then the micro copy and emojis. So they keep the subject line short. It's around 24 characters, you can see here. And to ensure that they're not cutting off on mobile devices, they also use a signature set of emojis to create brand recognition in a crowded inbox. So they kind of like claimed the emojis. I try and do this with some brands, actually, like just claim emojis. And obviously you can't copyright them, but if you use them enough, people will associate that emoji with your brand. So the wildcatting offer strategy. So what is wildcatting? Wildcatting is a way of finding winners, and this is how ButcherBox find winners. They don't bet big up front, they test consistently throughout the whole year. They have small variations, they have different hooks and different framing, where most fail, but when one works and it works really well, they scale it aggressively, and that's when it moves into flows and stays there until it stops converting. So the philosophy of wildcatting came from Mike Salguero, and it's essentially dig many small, cheap holes, i.e. tests, with different subject lines and offers. Scaling. When a gusher, a high converting email is found, it's moved into automated flows and pumped until it runs dry. And then pros, data-driven certainty. So you basically know that the offer works because you've sent it, you've tested it a few times, you put it in the flows. It allows the brand to be repetitive because they know the offer works. However, it can feel very salesy, and it's not for every brand, or repetitive, especially to long-term prospects and existing customers, right, who haven't converted yet. So the way I would think about a wildcatting approach is I would want to find lots of different offers which have two objectives, right? They're really good for AOV, are really good for long-term subscription or customers. So you want it to be an offer so good, but they have to be with you for like a year or 2 years to get it. Like the goal of the subscription box and subscription companies as a whole, but we work with subscription companies, is obviously they want people to stay on the subscription service as long as possible. So it's like, how do you like encourage people to do that from the get-go? And that's how you should be thinking. But what is a customer who buys from you every week, in this case, a subscription box every week, every month? If they stay with you for a year, constantly paying every single week, what is that customer worth to you? How much is that customer worth in dollars? Be very specific. And if you can find that out, then what your offer could be for that year. What crazy, this is what ButcherBox have done. They said, well, we can give free steaks. We can literally give a steak in every single box based on a customer who stays with us for a year. We can. So do it, and see if it works. Test it in your campaigns. Use the wildcatting approach and to see if it works. So let's talk about the sunk cost moat. This is the long-term play. So free for life or free for year creates a cancellation penalty. If you leave, you're not just canceling, you're giving up something. You're giving it up for life. Like, oh my gosh, don't want to give that up, right? Free steaks for a year. No, I'm not giving it up. If I got a girlfriend, she's like, do we really need that butcher box? And I'm like saying to my girlfriend, like, yeah, but it's free steak for a year, babe. And she's like, oh yeah, keep it. We'll get rid of something else. We don't need Netflix. I'm done with that. We'll use pirated or something. I don't know. They'll think about other options because, yeah, the pain of losing that thing that you've offered them is the worst outcome than them actually cancelling, right? So the meat consumption habit that ButcherBox creatively created here was during the first 60 days, their strategy shifts towards education, right? So they use content, these recipes, influencer tips to ensure the customer knows exactly how to cook every single cut of steak they have, which presents this thing called freezer guilt, which they knew was a problem with our customers. Like freezer guilt, which can lead to a lot of cause of cancellations in the meat industry. And if you didn't know what freezer guilt is, it's basically just like when you leave something in the freezer and then you end up just buying more stuff to put in your fridge and then you have all these things left in your freezer. So key takeaway, is this for everyone? No. It requires high margins, a high LTV product, basically like something that they can use over and over and over again, right? Consumable product, and a constant stream of fresh creative to avoid brand fatigue. So what can we learn and what can every brand take away from this video? So stop going and defaulting to coupons, right? Turn the same monetary value of your coupons into a free asset that the customer can own when they're with your brand, to maximize the perceived value. Secondly, keep it simple. If your offer is truly a no-brainer, let that be the hero. ButcherBox doesn't waste time, right? It doesn't waste time with any fluff copy or overcomplicated layouts. They just put the product and the offer front and they center it with zero distractions. And then own the relationship. So really, in this case, use paid ads to capture the email SMS lead first, and then use an aggressive email engine to convert them at near zero marginal cost. Basically, have the two things working together, paid ads and email, and do testing together. Like, for example, in Hayes, what we do is the paid ads team, we have paid ads as well. So they'll test certain landing pages that are completely different than the website, right? And if one of those landing pages really kicks off and works wonderfully, then we will have an aggressive email engine to make sure we're capturing people who drop off of that page, because there'll always be like 80 to 90% of people that will drop off, but the landing page is converting really well. We want to make sure that we're capturing that, but only if we've been doing the testing. So we communicate with each other and we have benchmarks and we know KPIs that when that landing page has been hit a certain threshold, email, SMS step in and we make sure we put something completely unique and something different on that landing page versus their website, for example, to make sure we're capturing that traffic. It's just a little insight to how we work. But that's another example of how paid ads and email can work together really well. Wildcat your offers. So really, you're in this perfect opportunity right now into January 2026 to start running small, rapid tests on things like subject lines, on your hooks, on your offers, and then double down on your gushers, the things that do really well. And then pattern interrupts. Again, please, if you're not already, make sure you're mixing design with plain text. So want to work with us in 2026. So this is how we think about retention. No isolated emails and not just random tactics. These are systems built around behavior, timing, and specifically e-commerce economics. And if you're running a serious e-commerce brand and you want to see where your retention engine breaks down, that's exactly what our retention audits are for. So go ahead, book one in the link below, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.